Hi everyone, Sean here for theworldcupnow.com, bringing you your Barclays Fantasy Premier League tips for Game Week 31. Now today I do have my notepad and I'm just going to be going through a couple topics that are going to be very important for this week and for next game week, which is the double game week. So we're going to just kind of go through injuries and also who to look for on some teams that are going to be featuring in some doubles. So to start off, just going to go through some of the injuries that have happened over this week and how to kind of structure your team. Looking at City, who were probably going to be a big acquisition of players or interest in terms of fantasy prospects, has suffered kind of a blow right now because Aguero maybe has pulled his hamstring. We haven't heard the official diagnosis yet. We are still waiting for that, but as that said, you also have Jovetic, who is also out, and you also have Negredo not really being on form and not having scored since the last time he played a full 90. So then this really brings to light, well, you have a Dzeko punt, so you also have the option for Dzeko for some coverage up front on the City coverage. But again, you can probably get that through Yaya Toure or David Silva. Now also turning to Newcastle, they've also been dealt quite a blow. Two injuries that have come out of a result of the France game, which is Loic Remy and Mathieu Debuchy, who are now out and probably going to be out for about 3 to 4 weeks. So what that means as a fantasy manager is with those two injuries, one, it takes Remy out of the striker equation. Two, it kind of hobbles Newcastle's defense, so you're going to be looking at players and teams that are going to be going against Newcastle in the near-term future. And one of those, leading into kind of my next little segment, is Everton. And I'm going to take a look at Everton right now and some of their prospects, and we'll see what's going on with LBC. And I'm not talking about Long Beach, California. I'm talking about Lukaku, Baines, and Coleman. So that's why I kind of have my notepad, because I'm not really going to be able to spit these stats right off my head. But looking at them, they are going to be having a double fixture in Game Week 31. And they also have games in hand, meaning that they're going to be playing more games than other teams as the season progresses. That's just as a result of postponements, and it will be a result of double game weeks. So that being said, I'm just going to touch on that for a second. There are two other teams that are going to feature more by one game, which are City and Sunderland, and that's why City was going to be coming under a lot of attention in terms of acquisition targets, and also for Sunderland as well to a lesser extent. So you might look at an Adam Johnson moving into the doubles, just because it's something that, obviously, as I say in my post, the more chances or the more minutes you can play, the more potential you have for points. So getting back to Everton and talking about points, looking at Baines, Lukaku, and Coleman, I'm going to start with the defense first and work my way up to the striker. With Coleman, you have a price of 6.6. So I'm basically going to go through price, minutes, points, and then points per game, and then ownership. And this will really kind of paint a good picture as to who you should be looking or who you should be considering moving forward. Now Coleman priced at 6.6. He's featured in 2,238 minutes this season thus far, and he's accumulated 130 points. That's including bonus and everything. So what that works out to is about 5.8 points per game. So it's not bad when you consider players that get twos on the regular. So he is a good choice. Now, however, his ownership is still very high at 36.1. So he's not really a differential in my eyes, because a lot of people have him. And that's where it comes in, where you have to look at your mini league, because if managers around you don't have him in your mini league, then obviously he's going to be differential. If they do, then look for maybe a Baines. What a segue. Wow, how nice. So looking at Baines, his price is 7.4, so he's a little bit richer. If you've got money to spare, hopefully you might be able to get him in as a differential. Now he's featured a little less at 1849 in terms of minutes, and he's accumulated 107 points. So it works out to about 5.2 points per game. However, he does have a lower ownership at 14.6. So that does kind of put him into a little bit more of a differential candidate because there is a lower ownership. So there's more possibility that when he does hit, it'll be more beneficial to your team. Now, moving into the strikers with Lukaku, we're getting a little bit even more richer or more expensive at 8.3, and he's featured in 1,614 minutes this season thus far, and accumulated 111 points. So he's got a very high point per game at 16.19. He's expensive, but I think with the injury to Remy, a lot of people are trying to sort out their front line moving into the double game week and for the rest of the season. And I think he would be a good differential. Further to that, he has low ownership at 12.8%. So he is probably the best pick for differential moving forward on the basis that he has a higher point per game. He's with Everton, which means they have 11 games left this season, as compared to teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, all teams that have less games to be played or less games at hand, if you will. So he's going to offer a good potential for differential moving for the rest of the season. And again, as I said in the post, this game week 30, is more of an assessment game week. We get to kind of see how teams are going to be with their injuries moving into the double game week. So if you don't need to make a transfer, save it for game week 31. I know a lot of managers are going to be doing that, myself included. So again, some food for thought moving into the double game weeks. And again, as I always say, I wish you good luck, and I will see you next game week.